Hey everybody, Ryan McCaffrey with IGN. I am joined by resident Bungie expert, Jose Otero.
Thank you, man.
And Jose, you actually had the great privilege of going up to Bungie.
That's right.
In the greater Seattle area, and you were among the very first people outside of their walls to play Destiny, a game that we've been unbelievably excited for a very, very long time. So tell me about what exactly did you play and what did you think of it?
Sure. So I got to play a strike mission on Old Russia.
Okay, so so we saw Old Russia at E3.
Yep, that's right.
But what's a strike mission?
So a strike mission, at least my interpretation of it so far, is sort of an intimate. You could almost call it an instance.
Okay,
where
like in an
you
MMO.
and your team, you and your team are in there alone. It's not a public space where you can run into other fire teams that are doing what they want to do. So our fire team was 3 people. We were all, at least I've had a choice of Awoken, but it was a Hunter, a Titan, and a Warlock.
Okay, so each of the 3 classes.
Yeah, and I got to play all the classes. I got to go through it multiple times. For the most part, what I enjoyed about it is it plays a lot like, Bungie is really good at AI encounters and at really fun sort of campaign spaces. So it felt like a mix between Firefight and a campaign because we played it so many times over and over.
Well, tell me about the AI, because that's, of course, one of the hallmarks of Halo.
That's right.
It's fantastic. I mean, going all the way back to Halo 1 and right up through their last Halo game, Halo Reach. So what separates their AI in Destiny from what you've seen in other shooters?
Sure. I think that the AI sort of plays to the strengths we've seen them deliver on in Halo, where in the encounter that we played, I got to see smaller groups from the Fallen and from the Cabal sort of fighting back, and certain troops behaved a certain way. Some would hang back, some would be more aggressive and try and get up close.
Would they actually fight each other at all?
Yeah, I stumbled into like a couple of areas where they were actually fighting back and forth with each other, and I thought that was really cool. And you see those hallmarks of like pack behavior and just enemies behaving a certain way because of the class they represent in Bungie games. So I sort of expected that, but forgot about it. But it was really cool to see that.
Did you get to use any vehicles?
So the only vehicle I got to use is if you summon your ghost, you can pull up
your ghost.
Yeah. So the ghost is this little sort of AI companion.
Oh, that ghost. Yes, of course.
That ghost.
It's funny you say Bungie and Ghost, and like my brain goes straight to.
Of course. I was able to pull up the terrain vehicle they have. I forget the name of it. It's something like I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting the name of this thing. I'm blanking out right here. But it basically doesn't have any offense on it, and you use it to travel through spaces. Again, we have the name, but I don't. I can run over.
So actually, speaking of that, a big question. The game, it spans multiple planets. You can go to so many different places, and you do have your own ship that you can apparently customize. And
that's right.
So were you able to find out, can you fly your own ship?
So you can't.
You cannot.
I was told by Lars Bakken on the Bungie team that the ship is more of a vanity item.
Okay,
and you
so
can
almost
get
like
different
like
types
in
of it.
Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, where it's
that's
like
right.
you go there, it's sort of part of your hub, but and you set your, or even Mass Effect, you set your destination from there, but you don't actually fly it.
Yeah, it'll swing by and drop you off, and you can get certain variations of it. He hinted at least, but yeah, he described it mostly as a vanity item.
So one short strike mission, 3 people, but you got to replay it multiple times. Tell me about the differences between the 3 classes.
Sure.
In your experience.
Yeah, so the window that I got for it was a little small because what Bungie describes Destiny as is sort of bigger, encompassing having multiple like talent trees or focuses to kind of deal with. I was able to go in depth with one of the classes, which was the Hunter. Yeah. I was able to try 2 different focuses. So for one, and the focus affects your special ability as well as the kind of grenades you can carry, and the passive abilities that you have available. So as the Hunter, I was able to switch between 2 types, and one of them gave me a special called the Golden Gun, which was really cool. By the way, the specials in this game are really awesome. I feel like they're a thing that's
a highlight.
Distinguish and are a highlight for this game. So using the Golden Gun, I was able to summon it, and it's a much more higher powered pistol that glows golden, obviously, and anything I shot with it.
Pistol.
Yeah, anything I shot would just disintegrate into like gold bits. I used it on a boss, and it was really cool. And if your teammates use it effectively, it spawns orbs that only you can see, but that will charge your friend's special meters faster, so they can use their special abilities. So with the Hunter, I got to use that, and then there was another focus where I used something called the Arc Blade. And so the camera zooms out to a third-person perspective, and I got to run around and cut up enemies, as it were.
Like the Halo sword?
Yeah, somewhat, but the camera actually pulls back for this instead. Then for the Titan, I was able to use, I wasn't sure what focus it was, but the ability I had was sort of an energy shield that just protected me from incoming fire, and it helped my fire team out. And as a warlock, I was able to jump in the air and kind of like spirit bomb some enemies, which took some getting used to. Just because that attack is more of a projectile. When the camera pulls back, you have to kind of aim where you want it to go, and then it'll impact and hit everyone, which is cool.
So your the game's coming out on both Xbox consoles, both PlayStation
That's
consoles. Right. What were you playing on?
We played on a PS4, and Bungie still won't confirm the existence of a PC version.
Yeah. We'll keep asking, right?
Yeah.
And how do you think the game looked?
I think it looked good. I mean, this was pre-alpha, but I thought it looked sharp enough. Almost. I mean, I would consider it shippable. I think it looked about as good as anything I've seen.
Well, visually speaking, you're saying.
Yeah, visually speaking. But then again, it is a small sliver of something that's so much bigger. Just really quickly backtrack to some of the class differences. I did notice that warlocks were taking damage a lot faster than, say, the Titan, who's supposed to be sort of the stronger character, and then the Hunter was a mix of the two. So that was another thing just to point out. But they all handled pretty much the same.
So, well, that's kind of a concern, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that because these classes were preset, it could also be that they just selected passive abilities that sort of mirrored each other.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure if the final builds will be that way, so there's always that question of, well, that was weird, but based on how deep they say this game is, there are a lot of changes supposedly under the hood, so it's impossible to really be sure.
So are there any other concerns you have? Now, I mean, we've been waiting, we've seen the game demoed repeatedly, the Sony press conference at E3, we, of course, we saw it at the original, when I got to go up there and see it for the unveil a year and a half ago now.
That's right.
So what at this point, do you have any concerns, any overarching concerns now that you have played the game?
Yeah, at least from the way it plays, I don't have a lot of concerns, because I feel like what I got to play was fun. However, it did fall within the expected sort of range of what Bungie already does well, which is good AI encounters and campaign stages that feel really well paced. There was, of course, the loot aspect and places like the tower that play a bigger role in this game.
But you didn't
I
get
didn't
to
really
see
get to see them. I mean, Bungie is quick to talk about a lot of how big Destiny is, but unfortunately, they're not really showing it yet.
So would it be fair to say, so you're excited about what you played, but what you played is basically what you've seen in other Bungie games before?
Yeah.
Like, you haven't seen the new Destiny's, what the new stuff that Destiny's bringing to the table?
Outside of the special abilities, I would say that's really accurate. And that isn't to downplay how good it is, because it felt great, and it totally reminded me of playing Firefight for hours in ODST and trying to get like the endurance achievement and get the recon armor, which at the time that was one of the last achievements you needed for that.
Yeah.
And that was just a cosmetic item back in I forget what year that was. However, the point is, now that there are bigger, sort of more important items tied to that kind of a structure, and the levels are pretty big spaces. I mean, this was sort of a space launch like area inside of Old Russia. That was really cool. So I could imagine if half the other campaign spaces are as good, or fire, strike team, patrol spaces, whatever the spaces turn out to be in this game are as cool as this one, I could see myself investing a lot of hours into this game.
So that's the little sliver. We finally got to play Destiny, just a little piece of it, but sounds like you're excited. We'll have probably E3, no doubt. I'm sure we'll be seeing a ton more on Destiny, and we will be covering that game like, I don't know, a big space blanket.
Yeah.
So for everything Destiny, you're already in the right place right here on IGN.